What's up, you guys? This is David with 39 Minute Workout. Not coming to you live with my tips from the truck today. Coming to you live, having a little bit of a Mr. Rogers moment with some shoes. Anybody over 35 or 40 probably knows. Anybody over 40, let me know what that means. Anyway, so we're going to talk about footwear. We're going to talk about foot health. We're going to talk about how to lift better and more safely. Something doesn't sound very good about the way I just said that. Regardless, how to lift better, how to have better balance, better foot health. Foot health is a big problem for people as we get older. I dealt with some plantar fasciitis when I was younger, my 20s, but that was because I was hiking the whole Appalachian Trail. That's a little bit of an extreme example, but I think feet are one of the areas of the body / joints, if you include the ankle, that just become a spot of wear and tear. So let's talk about proper footwear with kettlebells especially, but I think all lifting, and something everybody ought to be considering. So there's a word in the footwear community, and all three of these are examples. These are all three shoes I'm currently wearing or have worn in the past. We'll see black blue. And the word is zero drop. Okay, so there's a couple pieces of footwear that I think are particularly important for you. Number one, I would strongly urge any fitness shoe you wear to have zero drop, meaning, and all three of these are. That one is, this company is literally called Zeros, Xero. I just bought these recently. I don't think they're the most comfortable everywhere, walk all over the place shoe, but I love them for working out. These are my current walking everyday work shoes called Ultras, A-L-T-R-A. These are actually my new favorites. I bought a pair of hiking shoes in them, and now I bought a pair of everyday shoes. I'll tell you why. And the ones I used to wear, which I still like, but I'll tell you why I don't like them as much. They're called Ons. That looks like a Q, but it's O-N. These are called On Clouds. So zero drop essentially means this. And the Ons don't quite look like they do this, but it's true. It means from the toe to the heel, there's no raise. So even though this looks a little built up, a bad shoe for working out will have a very built up heel and will be actually, you don't realize that I'm exaggerating it, but raised like that. So in terms of foot health, I would highly urge you not to have anything with the drop, not to have anything that's so cushioned in the heel that it's raised up. You're shortening your calves. You are then leading yourself almost like high heels, right? What does it do? It creates foot problems. It creates smashing to the front of the shoe. It creates a shortening of the calf. That creates a lot of the problems we have. I don't know if anybody knows exactly why people get plantar fasciitis, but one of the reasons is stretching of that ligament to the point that it can't take it anymore. You should be on a flat zero drop shoe, in my opinion, to do all workouts. Okay, it is a more natural way that your foot would be built. It doesn't have any historical significance to build the heel up. It makes it easier to squat, but that's not good. It's just cutting down range of motion. One of the ways to learn how to squat when you're new at it and not great at it is to actually prop your heel up on a plate. But I say let's learn how to move correctly from the start. So I would really shoot to buy a zero drop, so here's the thing, I'll be honest. The big difference between this shoe and this shoe, my Zeros and my Ultras, is not the drop. They're both zero drops. It's that this one has a lot more cushion. So what my thought process is when I'm walking around every day, when I'm at work and I have a standing job, whether I'm doing acupuncture or kettlebells, I'm training, I'm up on my feet. A lot of people say, well, I'm doing a standing desk, that's better for me. Try it. It is hard to stand all the time. It's hard on your low back. It's hard not to let your belly drop forward. It's hard not to just have your feet and your ankles and knees hurt or be sore just from standing all the time. So I've gone to this as an everyday shoe because they're really cushiony, but they're still zero drops. Okay, so zero drop is one aspect of footwear that I would really look for, and I would strongly recommend getting away from the high built up heel. The second piece, and this is actually why I've switched from Ons, these are my Ons, to Ultras and Zeros. And I don't know if you can see it in the video all that well, but this shoe is very narrow in the toe box. Now you might say, well, I have a narrow foot. This is really somewhat of a growing philosophy. To me, the good PTs in the world, the good chiropractors, the good fitness people in the world are on to the fact that our toes are meant to splay out like that. I'm not going to show my feet because I don't feel like moving the camera, and a lot of people hate feet. I have gorgeous feet, so I don't know. It's a joke, but only part of it. So your toes are supposed to, you look at a baby, you look at a kid, look at a toddler, right? Their toes have some spacing, they're spread out. There's no, the big toe isn't jammed in, so there's the giant, oh my God, what do they call that? The giant knuckle that sticks out. I'm totally blanking on the word. The pinky isn't smashed inward and curled. The toe isn't squished inward. Our feet are supposed to be like that. You get a lot of your balance. So what do we lose when we get older? 50s, 60s, 70s especially. People start losing balance. That's a bad thing. To have balance, one of the pieces, there's a lot of pieces, strength, core, do you train balance? Do you walk on uneven surfaces? But are your toes allowed to spread out? You may not be able to see it, but in this toe box, this one, the two shoes I've switched to are flat out, just wider shoes, ultras and zeros. This allows your foot, your toes, to spread out the way they're supposed to. I actually, when I lift, especially when I'm doing something like a kettlebell swing or a front squat, I will, when I plant my feet in the right stance, I will then also spread my toes out, dig into the ground, and use that to help create balance, create stability. That brings more muscle in, recruits more muscle, helps me stabilize everything, helps me get zipped up in my tension from my toes all the way up to whatever my working part is, which in a front squat, if I'm holding bells here and squatting, that's almost everything in my entire body, right? So by having a wider toe box, even if you don't have wide feet, you're allowing your feet to spread out, to space out, to do what they do, to have more balance, and to frankly stop squeezing the crap out of your toes. If you say you have a wider foot or a narrower foot, you probably mean the first big bone in your foot from the inside of your big toe to the outside of your pinky toe here is probably wide or narrow. I would say I have about a medium foot. I don't love narrow shoes. Like I tried Chucks, that used to be a big lifting shoe. They're so squeezy to me. I've tried real fat shoes. One of the things I like about the Ultras is that I can draw them pretty snug up till this far and still allow my toes to splay out. So I just took a walk with these. I hiked for an hour with these guys just now, and my toes don't feel squished in. I was starting to develop a big toe problem, and I'm not having any foot pain from that problem. These are, so they're zero drops, they're very wide in the toe box, but they're still cushiony in the way I need. Whether you buy a cushiony shoe or not cushiony shoe, I think that's up to you. Some of you with more wear and tear in years probably need the extra cushion. Check out some Ultras. I'm sure there's some other companies like that. If you just know you have a narrow toe box and you're cool with it, you could try Ons. I think they're a very comfortable shoe personally. I also found with Ons, the one thing, because they're a little soft on the side, they're a little forgiving and I could feel like my toes spread out. I just didn't like the feeling that my toes were almost grabbing outside the base of the shoe. That felt a little awkward to me. So when I switched, I found the Ultras to be more comfy. But I think even if you think you have a narrow foot, you still got to let your toes spread out and move, and they should not be confined. If you don't want to have if you notice your toes are curling in, I started noticing my pinky toe was starting to curl in and under, right? And a lot of women, a lot of people will get, is it called hammer toe? Why am I totally blanking? When the built up of the knuckle there on the outside of the big toe becomes a real painful thing. Well, that's basically taking that big toe and shoving it inward, right? So let your foot breathe. Let your foot move. Just try a zero drop. Get your heel to the ground like where your ball is so your feet are nice and flat. If you need arch support, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with buying a piece of arch support to put in there so your arch has is a little more held. Personally, I think you ought to train with minimal arch and build up your strength and work on balance and build the musculature in the foot. But sometimes people are too far along. Sometimes the reality is people just already have plantar fasciitis or already have very uncomfortable feet when it comes to fitness, and just fighting this battle of the perfect answer is not worth it, and a good answer is good enough. And so for you, maybe this shoe is too minimal. You really will feel the ground. When I jump on this shoe, I gotta land softly. There's not much cushion happening in this shoe in my zeros, Xero. But if I really wanted to, let's say I had worse feet than I do, I might buy these Ultras, which are zero drop, which are wide in the toe box, but which do have some really nice cushion to it. So that's just some thought for you as you buy fitness shoes. A lot of people back 10, 12 years ago when I started the kettlebell thing were doing barefoot, but the problem is there are a lot of moves we do, including jump rope for one, that just aren't that pleasant with bare feet. And while not everybody jump ropes, you know, there are just some moves that you might do that you might feel uncomfortable on a barefoot, although training some barefoot movement is great. I think walking in the sand barefoot is awesome for people's foot strength. I think during the summer, getting out of shoes once in a while and walking on bare feet will help build the strength in you, help your toes spread out. And actively, when you're standing there at work at a standing desk, or if you work standing up like I do, or if you're doing fitness, I want you to encourage your toes to like move out and let them be nice and wide. Obviously, they're not as wide as fingers, but like instead of having them scrunched up, if you have room in your shoe, or you do what I said and buy some shoes that allow room, like really let your toes open up and stand wide as you're doing front squats or swings or even just standing up at work, and see if it doesn't over time create a little more ease and help your foot problems. So that is it for now. That is my Mr. Rogers moment with my shoes and some tips for you. If you have any questions, post your comments or questions below, things you found about footwear. Just know there's no one size fits all answer here. There is no absolute hard and fast answer. And if you have a pair of shoes that doesn't match my specs but is just working and you're not having a foot problem, that's awesome too. I mean, and that's just part of the reality with fitness when it comes to the right and wrong exercise, the right and wrong food, the right and wrong footwear. Is there's trends, there's some facts, there's a lot of gray. And that's just the reality. So if you found something that really works for you, that is absolutely valid. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and success stories and questions as they come up. So that's it for now. It is David Beers with 39-Minute Workout and Wellness coming to you, and with a little talk about your foot health. Thanks so much. See you next time.